She walked in, his name on her lips. But I knew. I knew everything. The secret she thought I'd never uncover. I had the proof. And now, she was about to lose it all. The truth was right in front of me, and I was ready to break her, just like she'd broken me. But then, she said one thing that changed everything. I'm 34. She's 32. Married 5 years. Apartment, 2 plants I keep forgetting to water, and a list on the fridge that says milk, bread, patience. That's her handwriting, by the way. Neat. Sharp. The trouble started with errands. Tiny ones. I'm just popping to the store. 15 minutes turned into 40. She'd come back with milk we didn't need and a new shade of lipstick she found on sale. Phone face down. Shower running before she said hello. I told myself it was nothing. People change routines. Whatever. Then I found the receipt. It was crumpled in her gym bag. From the corner market 3 blocks down. On the back, in blue pen, break at 6. Smiley face. And under it, a small heart. No name. No number. Just that little smile. I asked, calm, what's this? She rolled her eyes. The cashier wrote their break, so I wouldn't wait in the wrong line. Genius. She said it like I was 5. Then she kissed my cheek, tossed the receipt in the trash, and went to shower. The water drowned out any comeback I had. After that, errands multiplied. Bread. Batteries. They close early, she'd say, checking the time like she was late for a flight. She started paying in cash. New perfume for a trip to buy paper towels. The punchline? She never remembered the paper towels. I started tracking something simple. Patterns. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, 5:40 to 6:25. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, 5:50 to 6:35. Always sunset. Always be right back. Always the same tote bag. The blue one with a loose thread I kept meaning to cut. I tried humor. Tell this mystery store clerk I said thanks for stealing my wife every evening. Jealous of groceries now? She snapped. Smile flat. Eyes hard. Get a hobby. So I did. I sat in my car on Thursday at 5:45, engine off, across from the market. Hoodie up. Windows cracked. I felt ridiculous. I also felt my heart thudding in my throat like it wanted out. She arrived at 5:57. Walked fast. Hair in a low bun. Lip gloss I've never seen. That blue tote. She didn't grab a cart. She didn't even look at the produce. Straight past the aisles like she'd memorized a shortcut. I slid lower in the seat. Through the glass I caught flashes. Bright aisles. The beep of scanners. People in red vests weaving around with boxes. She moved toward the back. For a second, she vanished behind a display of paper plates. Then there it was. The employees only door nudged open from the inside. A hand appeared, palm up, like an invitation. A sleeve. Red. The kind of red you only wear at work. A name tag flashed and disappeared. She looked around once. Quick. Practiced. Then stepped through and let the door size shut behind her. I checked the time. 6:01. I stared at that door like I could think it open. My phone camera was already up without me deciding it. Shaky hands. Terrible angle. I waited. My chest hurt. Someone's laugh drifted out. Low. Close. The door cracked again. A shadow blocked it from the other side. I saw her smile in the sliver of light. I saw a red vest move closer, a shape leaning in like they were sharing a secret. I pressed record. I kept the phone pointed at the door until my arms got sore. Nothing. A minute passed, then 2. I couldn't just sit in my car and guess, so I went in. The blast of AC hit me first, then the scent of detergent. Beeps, squeaky carts, kids crying in the cereal aisle. I grabbed a basket, tossed in instant noodles, and drifted to the back. The employees-only door was hidden behind a stack of paper plates. I pretended to scroll on my phone while watching the door. Every time someone in a red vest passed, my heart skipped. Not her. Not him. Not anyone I knew. Just the usual store workers. At 6:11, the door cracked. She slipped out quickly, head down, hair messy from her bun, lip gloss smudged. She grabbed a pack of gum, paid, and rushed to self-checkout. In and out in 20 seconds. I followed, not too close, just a couple aisles over. I pretended to study chips while watching her. She scanned the gum, paid with cash, and shoved the change into her blue tote. Efficient. I stepped closer, but the store speaker blared. Clean up on aisle 12. 2 workers rushed by with a mop. I ducked behind an end cap, and when I looked back, she was gone. I jogged to the exit. She was already out the door, walking fast across the lot. I followed her from a distance. Her blue tote bounced with every step as she turned the corner near the loading bay. I darted across the lot, almost getting hit by a minivan, and found her by the dumpsters. I heard voices. Her laugh, soft and familiar. Another voice, muffled. Maybe the cashier, maybe someone else. I caught one word. Tomorrow. I couldn't resist. I took a quick peek. The door cracked again. A red vest. No face, just a name tag edge. Too blurry to make out. Can I help you? A voice behind me startled me. A kid with a broom stared, bored. Spill, I said, trying to act casual. Aisle 12. He pointed. Yeah, aisle 12. Right, thanks. I walked away, trying to keep my cool. By the time I circled back through the entrance, she was already across the street, phone in hand. I heard just enough. I'm on my way home. Lines were crazy. She didn't glance back. I grabbed batteries I didn't need. The cashier, nervous and new, wished me a good night. I glanced at his name tag, no match for the voice I heard. I went to my car, played the video back frame by frame. In one shot, I caught her face, just enough to see her smile. Next to it, a name tag edge. Could have been Isla or Miso. Couldn't tell. Then I saw it. A small receipt wedged under my wiper, weighed down with a quarter. I pulled it free. 3 words, in blue pen. We see you, smiley face. I stared at the small receipt in my hands, the words echoing in my mind. Asterisk, we see you. Smiley face. Asterisk, I folded it up quickly, my heart pounding in my chest. This wasn't just some random note. It felt personal. Whoever had written it knew exactly what I was doing, and worse, why I was doing it. I shoved the paper into my pocket and started the car. My mind raced, replaying every detail, every moment that felt off. The way she'd acted lately, the constant trips to the store, the secrecy, and now, this. A message. A warning? I glanced at the clock. It was 6:45. She'd be home soon. My wife, the one I thought I knew so well. She was slipping away, and the more I tried to catch up, the more I was left in the dark. The drive back was a blur. I couldn't stop thinking about that receipt. Who had left it? Who had noticed me watching? Was it the cashier? The person in the red vest I'd seen through the crack in the door? The possibilities twisted in my head like a knot that kept getting tighter. I parked in our driveway and killed the engine, staring at the front door. Should I confront her now? Should I ask her directly? The words felt stuck in my throat, trapped between anger and fear. Instead, I decided to wait. I wanted to see what she'd do. Would she walk in like nothing happened? Would she act differently, knowing I'd been watching? My gut told me I wasn't ready to face the truth yet. I spent the next few minutes just sitting there, listening to the hum of the night. The house was quiet. I could feel the weight of the uncertainty pressing down on me. It was like I was standing on the edge of something, waiting for the ground to drop out from beneath me. And then, just like that, I heard the sound of keys jingling at the front door. She was home. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. She walked in, smiling, her arms full of groceries. The same smile she always had. She greeted me like everything was normal, asking about my day, her voice light and carefree. But something was off. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't seeing the whole picture. That smile, it didn't reach her eyes. There was something behind it, something she was hiding. I nodded and made small talk, but inside, my mind was racing. She didn't know I knew. Not yet, but I was getting closer. The more I watched, the more I started to see. I just had to keep waiting, keep observing. The truth was out there, and I was determined to find it. But the question was, what was I going to do once I had it? She put the bags down harder than usual, like she was trying to make a point. The clink of jars echoed in the quiet kitchen. That smile was still there, but it didn't reach her eyes. She glanced at me quickly, avoiding my stare, then went to unpack the groceries. Something felt off. It was the way she moved, distracted, almost like she was trying to hide something. I watched her carefully. This was the same routine we'd done 1,000 times, but tonight felt different. She was keeping her distance, both physically and emotionally. Every little gesture made me wonder, who else was she doing this for? She unpacked the bags quickly, avoiding me the way you avoid someone you're lying to. Finally, I broke the silence. How was the store? I asked, trying to sound casual. She froze for a split second, her hands stilling on the carton of eggs. Then she laughed, but it was too loud, too forced. Oh, just busy, she said quickly. I nodded, not buying it. But then, While she reached for something in the fridge, I saw it. A flash of red. A name tag. Not hers. It was tucked in the pocket of her jacket. Barely visible, but it was there. My heart skipped. I recognized it immediately. The same red vest from the store, the one I had seen near the stockroom. The one I couldn't quite see up close, but had written about in that note. Asterisk, we see you. Smiley face, asterisk. I grabbed the jacket before I could stop myself. What's this? I asked, my voice sharper than I meant. She froze, turning slowly. What? She stammered, her voice trembling just a little. I held up the name tag. Whose is this? She glanced at the tag, then back at me, her face going pale. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but couldn't find the words. The air felt thick with tension. I can explain, she said, but it didn't sound convincing. I stepped closer, not waiting for an explanation. Explain what? Is there someone else? Someone at the store? Her eyes darted away, avoiding mine. And in that moment, I knew. I needed to hear it from her, though. Tell me the truth, Rachel. She was silent, her eyes still down. Finally, she muttered. It's not what you think. I snapped. Then what is it? What am I supposed to think? I dropped the name tag on the counter. What's going on? She didn't answer. Just stood there, not looking at me. Her silence said it all. Her silence was deafening, hanging between us like a thick fog. I stood there, staring at her, waiting for something, anything, that could explain what had been going on. My hands were shaking, but I forced them to stay still. I couldn't let her see how much this was tearing me apart. She opened her mouth like she was going to speak, but then closed it again. I could see her struggling, her eyes darting around the room, trying to find a way out of this moment. But there was no escape. Not anymore. I stepped closer, keeping my voice low, trying to remain calm, even though every part of me was screaming. Who is he? She flinched, and the look on her face told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't ready for this. Not like this. My stomach twisted, and I felt a cold sweat break out on the back of my neck. She started, but her voice faltered. She couldn't look at me, her gaze falling to the floor instead. Don't lie to me, I said, more forcefully than I intended. I know something's been going on. All the trips to the store, the secrecy, the name tag. Just tell me who he is. She took a deep breath, her shoulders slumping in defeat. I wasn't planning on telling you like this, she whispered. Her voice was barely audible, like she was ashamed to admit it. But it's the guy who works at the store. The words hit me like a slap. I wanted to ask more about the details, about how long, about why, but I couldn't get them out. My throat felt tight. She was having an affair. With someone from the store? Someone I'd probably walked past 100 times, never knowing. Why? The word came out in a hoarse whisper. Why him? Her hands were shaking as she clasped them together in front of her. I don't know. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far, but it did. And I never wanted to hurt you. I couldn't look at her anymore. The pain was too much. I turned away, pacing a few steps, trying to process everything she'd just said. She was standing there, waiting for me to say something, but I couldn't find the words. Finally, I forced myself to face her again. How long? She hesitated, then whispered. A few months. My breath caught in my chest. A few months. She'd been lying to me for months, hiding it so well. The trips to the store, the secrecy, the smiles, the little glances, all of it was for him. I turned toward the door, needing space. I had to think, to breathe. But just as my hand touched the doorknob, I heard her voice again, small and pleading. I'm sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't want it to be like this. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't answer. I just stepped out of the door and into the night. The door clicked shut behind me, and I stepped into the cool night air, the weight of everything hanging around me like a thick cloud. My hands were still trembling, the shock of her words sinking in. A few months. That was how long she'd been lying to me. The betrayal felt like a physical wound, one I could feel in my chest with every breath. I walked aimlessly, not sure where my feet were taking me. The streets were quiet, just the distant hum of traffic and the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. My mind was buzzing, replaying everything. How had I missed it? The signs had been there, but I'd been blind to them. Or maybe I hadn't wanted to see. I found myself at the park, standing in front of the old bench we used to sit on when we first started dating. It felt like a lifetime ago. Back then, we talked about everything. Our dreams, our future. Now, I couldn't even talk to her without feeling like I was talking to a stranger. I sat down on the bench, my head in my hands. I couldn't stay in that house with her. Not right now. The betrayal was too raw, too fresh. I needed space. I needed time to think. I pulled out my phone and stared at it for a long moment. I thought about calling a friend, someone to talk this through with. But who? Who could I turn to? I didn't want anyone to know this. Not like this. I had to figure it out on my own. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced down at the screen. It was her. I stared at the message for a moment, the knot in my stomach tightening. Please don't leave like this. We need to talk. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. My finger hovered over the screen. I wanted to tell her that I needed time, that I didn't know what to think, let alone what to feel. But instead, I typed one word. Why? I hit send before I could stop myself. I needed to know the truth. I needed to understand why she did this. Seconds later, the phone buzzed again. I opened the message. I wasn't looking for this to happen. It just did. I never meant to hurt you. But I don't know how to undo what's already been done. I read the message a few times, my mind racing. There was a part of me that wanted to scream at her, demand answers, but I knew I couldn't. Not yet. Not like this. I stood up, the weight of everything still crushing me. My fingers hovered over the phone again, but this time, I put it in my pocket. I wasn't ready for a conversation. I needed to clear my head first. I walked back toward the house, the streets empty, the night stretching out before me. When I reached the front door, I paused, staring at the knob for a long moment. What now? I stood at the door, my hand still on the knob, listening to the house settle around me. I could hear her moving inside, waiting, probably pacing, wondering when I'd come back. But I wasn't ready to face her yet. Not after what she'd said. My chest still ached, my mind spinning. I didn't want to talk about it now. I needed space. I turned and walked to my car, my legs moving on autopilot. The night was quiet. The streetlights flickered above me. I didn't know where I was going, but I couldn't stay there. I drove aimlessly, hoping that distance would help clear my head. But it didn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, heard her voice, repeating the words, a few months. She'd been lying to me that whole time. I ended up at a 24-hour diner on the edge of town, the kind of place where no one asks questions. I sat in a booth by the window and ordered coffee, though I didn't want it. I just needed something to hold while my thoughts tried to catch up. My phone buzzed. Her message. Please, can we talk? I don't want to lose you. I love you. I stared at the screen, my hands gripping the cup. How could I respond? How could I believe anything she said after everything? I set the phone down, rubbing my eyes. I didn't know what to do next. I couldn't go home. Not yet. Then my phone buzzed again. A voicemail. From her. I hesitated. But I had to listen. Her voice was shaky, broken. I never wanted to hurt you. I never thought it would get this far. But I can't undo what I've done. Please don't leave me. I'm sorry. Please. Her words hit like a punch. She was sorry. But was that enough? I sat there, the voicemail's silence filling the space between us. I sat there for what felt like forever, staring at the empty cup in front of me, the weight of her voicemail pressing on my chest. I'm sorry. Please don't leave me. Those words echoed in my mind, but they didn't feel like a lifeline. They felt like an anchor, pulling me back into a relationship that was already sinking. I glanced around the diner. The place was still half empty, just a few late-night regulars scattered around. No one was watching me, but it felt like the walls were closing in. The silence was deafening. I could almost hear her voice in my head, asking me to forgive her, to take her back. But could I? I stood up abruptly, the sudden motion catching the attention of the waitress, who raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. I walked out of the diner, the cool night air hitting my face. My phone buzzed again as I stepped outside. Her name flashed on the screen. Please, come home. Let's talk. I need you. I pocketed the phone without reading it. I knew what she was asking, but I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I drove back to the house, my mind racing with questions I couldn't answer. Was I supposed to forgive her just because she was sorry? Could I ever trust her again? Or was this the end of something I thought was built to last? When I pulled into the driveway, I hesitated before getting out. The house loomed in front of me, quiet and dark. I knew she was still inside, probably waiting for me to walk through the door and make everything okay. But I didn't know how to fix this. I took a deep breath and walked to the door. My hand hovered over the knob for a long moment. I could go in, pretend like everything was fine, and let time heal this. or I could walk away and never look back. The choice was mine. I turned the knob and stepped inside. I stepped inside, and the silence hit me like a punch. She was sitting on the couch, eyes swollen, a mix of hope and fear on her face. She stood quickly when she saw me, but hesitated, unsure if I'd let her near. I just stood there, still processing it all. The pain was sharp, but what I really needed to know was if anything was left between us. She stepped forward, voice shaky. "I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this. Can we talk?" I didn't answer at first. I couldn't. The words were tangled in my throat, full of anger, confusion, and hurt. I just stood there, numb. She took a breath, as if gathering courage. "It wasn't about you. I wasn't looking for this. It just happened, and I hate myself for it." I wanted to believe her, but the way she said it felt rehearsed, like she was convincing herself more than me. Finally, I spoke. "How long?" She looked down. "A few months. Since the beginning of summer." A few months. 3 months of lies, of secrets. It felt like my world had been turned upside down. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, stepping closer but keeping her distance. "I never wanted to hurt you. I never meant to lie. But I was confused. And She stopped, unable to continue. I didn't move. I just watched, trying to see any trace of sincerity. But all I saw was guilt. And guilt didn't fix anything. "You think guilt is enough?" I asked, my voice sharp. "You think I can just forgive you because you're sorry?" She flinched. "No, I don't expect that. I just need you to understand it wasn't intentional." I shook my head. "You wanted it enough to keep it a secret. You wanted it enough to hurt me." She looked small, her hands clasped tightly. "I made a huge mistake, and I know I can't undo it. But I still love you. Please, don't leave me." Her words lingered in the air, and I felt the weight of them. I wasn't sure if I could stay. I wasn't sure if I could keep living with lies. "I need time," I said, voice tight. "I can't decide right now." She nodded. "I'll wait. As long as you need." I turned and walked out, feeling the weight of my decision. What was I supposed to do now? Could I forgive her? Or was it too late? I stood outside for a long time, the cool air biting at my skin. My hands were shoved deep into my jacket pockets, and I couldn't stop pacing. Every step felt heavier than the last. The house behind me was silent, and I knew she was still inside, waiting for me to return. But I wasn't ready. I couldn't go back in there yet, not with everything hanging between us. The lies, the secrets, the betrayal. How was I supposed to walk back in and pretend everything was fine? I pulled out my phone again, half expecting another message from her. But there was nothing. She was giving me space, I guessed. The silence felt suffocating, like the calm before a storm I wasn't ready for. I dialed my best friend's number and waited as the phone rang. The line clicked, and he answered, groggy. "Hello. It's me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need to talk." There was a pause. "What's going on?" I told him everything. The store, the name tag, the months of lies. It was all out there, raw and real. I hadn't realized how much I needed to say it until the words started pouring out. The shock, the hurt, the confusion. I couldn't stop. "Man, that's heavy," he said after a long pause. "You gotta decide what you want. You can't keep living in limbo." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words sinking in. He was right. I had to decide. Stay and try to rebuild, or walk away and never look back. I thanked him, though I didn't know if his advice helped. I hung up and stared at the house. I was standing on the edge, and I had no idea what came next. When I walked back inside, it was like nothing had changed. She was sitting in the same spot on the couch, looking up at me with those sad, pleading eyes. I could see the worry in her face, but there was something else, too. Hope. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Just please don't leave." I stood there for a moment, torn. My heart wanted to forgive her, to believe that we could fix this. But my head was screaming at me that it might never be the same. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. I sat down beside her, and we both just sat there in the silence. I sat there beside her, the space between us still stretching like a chasm, even though I was physically right next to her. Her presence felt foreign now, as though everything I'd known about her had shifted. She'd been someone I trusted, someone I thought I knew. Now, I wasn't so sure. She didn't say anything else at first. Her hands were folded in her lap, her fingers clenched tight. The air was thick with the unsaid, with the weight of what had been revealed. After a long silence, I finally spoke. How did it happen? The question felt hollow as soon as it left my lips, like it didn't matter. But I had to know. I needed to understand. She looked at me, her eyes searching for the right words. I don't know. It just happened. We started talking, and I felt like I could tell him things I couldn't tell you. It wasn't intentional, but it got deeper, and I didn't know how to stop. I swallowed, trying to push down the bitterness rising in my throat. So you just kept it going, didn't you? I wasn't sure if I was angry or just deeply hurt. For months. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I never meant for any of it to go this far. I was stupid. I was confused. I thought I could handle it. I thought I could keep everything separate, but I couldn't. Why didn't you tell me? The question was out before I could stop it, and I saw her flinch. Why didn't you just come to me? I should have. I know. But I was scared. I was ashamed of what I was doing, and I thought you'd never understand. The words stung more than I expected. She'd been scared? She'd kept me in the dark, thinking she could hide it, thinking I'd never find out. How long had she been lying to my face, pretending everything was fine? I was right, wasn't I? She continued, voice trembling. I knew you'd hate me. I didn't want to lose you. The silence between us stretched out again, and I felt like I was drowning in it. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel anymore. She was sorry. She was confused. She hadn't meant to hurt me, but she did. The damage was done. Could apologies really undo it? Could time? I don't know if I can forgive you, I said softly, my voice cracking despite myself. She nodded, her shoulders sagging. I know. I don't deserve it. I could feel the weight of those words hanging in the air. I didn't know what the next step was, or even if there was a next step. All I knew was that I couldn't just snap my fingers and fix this. It wasn't that simple. It wasn't a mistake you could easily undo. But I had a choice now. A choice I hadn't been ready for until this moment. I stood up, needing space. The walls felt too close, suffocating. I walked to the window and stared out at the street, headlights of passing cars cutting through the dark. The world outside seemed so far away. She stayed on the couch, watching me. I wanted to leave, to walk out and never return, but part of me couldn't. I was still tethered to her, to us. The life we'd built. Do you really think we can fix this? I asked, turning back toward her. My voice was soft, but the weight of it was unbearable. I needed to know if she believed it too. She hesitated. I don't know, she whispered. I wish I could say yes, but I can't promise anything. Her honesty hit harder than any lie could. She wasn't giving me hope, and that truth made things worse. I was torn between love and hurt, between wanting to fix what was broken and knowing it might be beyond repair. I'm so sorry, she said again, voice breaking. I didn't mean to destroy us. I didn't mean to hurt you. I closed my eyes, trying to stay composed. The more I thought about her words, the more uncertain I became. Can you forgive me? She asked, almost pleading. Can you try to believe that I'm sorry? I shook my head, unable to look at her. I don't know. I really don't. The silence was thick. The trust was gone. No apology could change that. I need space, I finally said. I can't make any decisions right now. I don't even know what I feel anymore. She nodded, tears falling freely now. I understand. I'll give you all the time you need. I turned and walked toward the door, each step heavier than the last. When I opened it, I paused and looked back. She was still sitting there, broken. I didn't know if I could fix this, or if it could ever be fixed. I walked aimlessly, my feet carrying me through streets I barely noticed. The city was quiet, almost too quiet, like the world had paused, waiting for me to decide what came next. My mind was a whirlwind, images of her face, her words, our life together flashing by in a blur. I found myself back at the diner I'd gone to earlier, the neon lights buzzing softly in the dark. I slid into a booth, absently looking at the menu, though I had no intention of eating. I just needed something to do, something to occupy my mind for a moment. The waitress from before came over, recognizing me. Back again, she asked with a small, tired smile. I just nodded. Coffee. Black. She poured the cup silently and left me alone. I stared into it, watching the steam curl up, wishing for clarity, for something to tell me what to do. Could I forgive her? The question was like a hammer to the chest. I couldn't answer it, not yet. But as much as I wanted to say I was done, part of me still cared for her. How could I not? She'd been my partner, my best friend. We'd built a life together. But then I thought of all the lies, all the hidden moments, the way she betrayed my trust. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a decision she made over and over again. And now, that weight felt like it was suffocating me. I picked up my phone, hesitating before I unlocked it. Another message from her. I'm here whenever you're ready. I'll wait. I love you. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply button, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. What was there to say? The damage was done, and I wasn't sure how to fix it, or if it could even be fixed. The diner felt even emptier now. The hum of the neon sign was the only sound. I realized that it wasn't just her I needed space from. It was everything. My life, our life, all the expectations I'd built up in my mind. I had to figure out who I was now, without her. I paid the bill and walked out into the night again, the cold air biting my skin. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do, but one thing was certain. I couldn't make any decisions right now. I didn't know how much time had passed. Hours? Minutes? It didn't matter. I found myself standing in front of the house again, staring at the door. The same door I'd walked through countless times before, but tonight, it felt like a barrier, something I couldn't cross without making a choice. Inside, I knew she was still waiting, still holding on to the hope that we could fix this. But how could we? Could you ever truly rebuild trust after it had been shattered like this? I didn't have the answers, but I knew I couldn't just stand there, stuck in this limbo. I turned my back to the door and walked to the street corner. The moonlight cut through the trees, and the night felt heavy. Every step I took felt like I was moving farther away from what I once knew. And yet, every step felt like I was being pulled back to the only life I'd ever known. I pulled out my phone again, scrolling through the messages I had from her. Each one was more desperate than the last. Please talk to me. I'm sorry. I can't lose you. I didn't want to look at them. They felt like weights, each word sinking me deeper into uncertainty. I paused at a streetlight and thought back to everything she had said. She was sorry. She loved me. But was that enough? Would it ever be enough? Could I forgive her? Could I move forward, knowing everything had been broken? My thumb hovered over the screen, ready to reply. But as I stood there, the world felt quieter than ever. The decision was mine. The silence was mine to break. I took a deep breath and made a choice. I sent her one message. I need more time. I didn't know how long I would need. I didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time in a long while, I felt like I was taking control of something, even if it was just the moment. I put the phone in my pocket and started walking again, one step at a time. The night was still and quiet as I walked through the empty streets, my thoughts spiraling. The weight of the decision was still heavy, but there was something strangely liberating about taking that step. The message to her, I need more time, felt like a release. A small, fragile thread of hope for myself, even if I couldn't see the end of it yet. I didn't know how much time I'd need. I didn't know if I'd ever be ready to walk back through that door and face her, to look into the eyes of the woman who had hurt me. But I knew I couldn't stay in this limbo forever. Something had to change. As I walked, I let my mind drift back to the beginning, when everything had been so simple, so full of promise. I remembered the way she looked at me when we first met, the way we used to laugh over the smallest things. I remembered how we built a life together, brick by brick. But I also remembered the lies, the betrayal. Those memories had to be acknowledged too. It wasn't just the good that defined us anymore. It was everything. I reached a park and sat down on a bench, staring out at the empty swings. The world felt so much quieter in this moment. I felt like I was standing at the edge of something I couldn't control. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to forgive her. I didn't know if we could ever go back to what we had. But I couldn't ignore the part of me that still cared, that still wanted to believe in us. The part that believed in second chances, even if they felt impossible right now. For now, all I could do was wait. Wait for the time I needed. Wait for clarity. And, most importantly, wait for the strength to make the choice that would define the rest of my life. And as I sat there, alone under the dim light of the park, I realized something important. No matter what happened, I had to learn how to be okay with the uncertainty. Because that was the only thing I could control.